even weird things like television, like I'll be like, oh, that shirt is awesome. Like, I love those 3 colors together. So I pull those 3 colors and I'm like, all right, that's what I'm going to work on.
All right, Dina Brennan, the one and only.
The one and only.
I'm excited to have you actually sit down. Took the first solo show, or the big solo show over at the James to get you on the media tour.
Yeah, until after the opening.
Yes, well, I'm glad we're actually getting to sit down and talk and to put you in front of the audience a little bit and let people find out a little bit more about you and your process.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave.
My pleasure. The show at the James, I thought was, I still having people tell me what a success it was and how excited they were for you. I thought it was an awesome turnout.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine.
I'm still feeling
you must have been
so
thrilled.
overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. I didn't even get a chance to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But so many surprise people that I had no idea were coming, and then all of the regulars from here that really showed up for me, which was so amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, we have the best customers ever.
We have I think you have a great group of people that really wanted to support you, and I thought that was awesome to see. And I didn't get to talk to you much, but I figured I get to see you every day. So
yeah, it's very true.
Or at least 4 days a week. So I didn't want to take up your time, but it was great to see the turnout, even on a
rainy,
terrible weather,
crappy night.
Yeah. That didn't scare anyone away. The place was filled. It was filled upstairs. And I know that people are still filtering through and seeing it.
Yeah. And the good thing, too, I'm going to be back the next 2 Fridays. Well, this Friday and next Friday, May 23rd, May 30th, and just spend some time in there and
Are you gonna do
have
some
people.
Work,
I'm going to bring some of my starts and the paper and maybe a couple of tools and stuff, because people had questions as to how I was creating and what it took to make. So I think I'll bring some of that stuff and some snacks and drinks. I'm going to be there from 1 to 5 both of those days.
Yep.
I have family who are coming in from out of town. I have people that couldn't make it, and just people who want to come back and see the show where you can actually see the artwork and not just be mingling and hanging out. So I'm super excited about that. Plus a year's worth of work. I want to sit in it and enjoy it and appreciate it and take it in. I mean, it was a very long, thoughtful process. Certain things were created for certain spaces, just knowing the James after all these years. And the framing, too. I mean, that was a major part for me, how I wanted to hang things, how I wanted to showcase things. That's something I'm thinking about all the time when I'm creating, is the final product, the finished piece, what it looks like in the frame, because it's so important.
Yeah, no, it can take the stuff in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
And I think you did an awesome job. The show looked amazing. And I think that's a nice thing, too, to sit there and people can kind of have like a little bit more of an intimate conversation with you about pieces, opposed to opening night or, going in and seeing the show now and you're not there. It's like people can interpret things their own way, but to like look at a piece like this one and be, ask questions and know you like it and be like, oh, well, what do we do with this orange? Getting like your explanation of what you were doing there and what you were what you think of it.
Yeah, I mean the process was evolved a lot over time. I mean, from you letting me show those pieces in 2023 and calling it Playing with Sound with Color and evolving it into something a little bit more. So I'm not using paintbrushes at all. I think I use paintbrushes maybe on 2 or 3 pieces. Using all sorts of scraping tools and palette knives and going back in and taking away and adding more and mixing color with layering, and then depending on how hard I push or pull paint when I'm doing these layers, sometimes it skips and you get those peeps of the under colors, and sometimes I completely cover everything and then go back in and scrape and create these new lines. And then the line work itself was just, I kept doing these repeat lines, like horizon lines. Where is this coming from. And then I just had this like ta-da moment of the Brewster Flats, where I've been going to Brewster for years and years and years. But when the tide goes out, it goes out over a mile. And the lines in the sand, I've been obsessed with photographing, particularly in black and white for some reason. And I started looking at all my inspiration photos, and there were these lines, and I was like, well, now I have to be a little bit more literal with it too. So huge inspiration from lines found in nature, specifically in the sand and horizon lines.
Yep. And now, so color noise, like you're trying to incorporate the playlists and all. I mean, how did you land on that? Is the
So the first group of work that I did here, playing with sound and color. I kind of just wanted a cool title that went with the artwork, because I think a lot of people, when they view abstract art, it's what is it? What does it mean? And when it's untitled, like you might look at it for a second and then you move on to the next thing in the space. Where I was like, what could I title and make someone stay for a little bit longer? And I love music. So I just started writing down partial song lyrics, and there's no correlation between what song and what piece of artwork at all, but just a small snippet of a song lyric. And it kind of just makes people question, like, what is this? And so from there, I took it one step further and created a playlist that went with it. And then when creating this new body of work, I wanted it to be a continuation, not a whole new thing. And when I really started thinking about landscapes and what do I hear and what do I see, I kind of reformed the wording and called it color noise.
So they're not. It's more to give it titles. It's not as much to be like, all right, this is what you should hear when you.
The influence in music is in each piece. I'm always listening to music when I'm creating, but I'm not influenced by the particular song.
So you're not
I think
putting
the
it on repeat.
I'm not exactly. I think the noise is just more what the color and the line work and the layers are saying to you. And after deep diving into what is noise, when you look it up in the dictionary, and it's mostly a definition of like disruption. And I was like, oh, maybe I chose the wrong word. But I kind of like the idea that artwork can be disruptive in a sense that when you look at it, it speaks to you in a different way. And what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? I kind of wanted everyone to have their own experience when they look at each piece, whether they like it or they don't like it, or
I mean, disruptive isn't always bad.
No,
right?
You
don't want to get hung up on it being something. Like disrupting
I think
people approach things, and that most good comes from disruption anyway, right?
I think more or less color noise just sounded fun and captivating in a little way, and I just kind of rolled with it. But I did kind of look into color psychology and what certain colors mean.
Color theory. I'm sure you've taken
of course, many years ago. But I did really kind of get into what certain colors evoke when it comes to emotion, and when laying the colors down or picking, I was trying to do different or unique color combinations, whether they were found in nature or I would just, randomly pick 3 or 4 colors and be like, all right, this is what I'm working with today. Let's see what happens. Sometimes it was great, and sometimes it was not so great.
Well, you always paint over it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like on this one here, how did you decide on? Was there a process of like experimenting and seeing what those colors looked like with each other, or?
Yeah, well, I think tone too. So doing something that's so bright with something that's more pastel. This piece in particular, I did the whole entire piece of paper in that neon red color first, and then I really played with these lighter colors on top of it. And when I still was like, it needs something else, I kind of did this like iridescent glaze over it. That was kind of a cool part, is how colors change when you scrape the color across. So sometimes I would really thin out the colors, so they were just these minimal glazes that were going across the paper.
Is this is the one in the middle like more of a combination? Is this like 3 colors and then that's like a
Nope.
is that a
This
fourth
is
one
kind
that
of
you
what
guys-
happens when those two were kind of scraped at the same time. Or actually, I think it's more like this color coming through over. So it's 3 shades of blue,
Yeah.
creating this 4th shade of blue. And then that iridescent going across kind of catches. But again, when you like scrape hard, it's thin layers. And when you kind of let go, you get these like happy little accidents, Bob Ross
Where's
style.
all the extra paint going that you're scraping off? Throwing it onto the next one?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Kinda
So
like
when I'm
base.
creating, I was working in like 5 different square sizes. The square just speaks to me. I really like it. So
Yeah.
for every piece that I make, there's probably 2 or 3 or others that go with it. And
Yep.
then sometimes it becomes a collection and like they're the same color palettes, and other times like those just get pushed aside and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens
paint
to them
has to go
next.
somewhere,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
At
But
least
I don't.
they can
I
build
don't.
up texture for the
Yeah.
for something else.
Yeah, I don't like to waste. So
Yeah.
yeah, the amount of stuff that I didn't frame or use
Yep.
is just as ridiculous. So to keep working on those and keep evolving what I'm doing is pretty cool.
Yeah, the I know the one that the big piece that you had, was that like a lot of like studies that were the patchworked together.
Yep.
I mean, everyone seemed to be really taken by that.
That was
piece.
kind of a last minute thing too, but I had all these other small ones that I really loved
Yeah.
for different reasons, but when I put them like in the matting in the frame, they didn't carry
right, yeah.
as well. Like it didn't have as much interest or color noise to me.
Yeah.
So I started laying them out, and it just brought me back to growing up. My mom was always quilting
Yeah.
with her sisters and helping go to the fabric store, lay out fabric. And that's how my dining room table when I was growing up was just covered in fabric and squares. And we would move things and
Yeah.
see what looks nice next to each other. So that's what I kind of did.
Did that one?
With
Did
that.
it take a long time to like get it right? A lot of,
Yeah,
like,
I
back
mean,
and
just
forth?
laying it out, doing the math, and then I layered them so they're all raised at 2 different levels, so
Yep.
up and down, so it had some texture. So it probably took me about 8 to 10 hours to like really stick them all down, lay them out. And my sister kept coming over and being like, "You need to move this one." It kind of reminded me like the game Memory when you're little, like
Yeah.
switching them, like which one goes here, which one goes there. But
Yeah.
I was really happy with the way it came out.
Yeah. Do you have like still a lot of those squares and studies? So you can maybe make a couple more of those at
I
some
could.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
definitely
I
could.
just be listening to people, observing what people are talking about, and a lot of people seem to be very intrigued with that one. And it was it was bigger, and it was kind of like a combination of
Yeah.
a lot of different works.
Yeah, I think it needed it in that space
Yeah.
too, which was nice, and just a different way to view your work too.
Yeah.
That why does it just have to be one in a frame? It could be more than one. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely very it had a quilt-like quality.
Yep.
You also had the piece upstairs that there's the storyboard thing, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they learn about your process or your inspiration,
Yep.
that they can connect to something. And it doesn't have to be anything specific, but like, oh, she loves Brewster, I go to Brewster.
Yep.
Or she loves working with this kind of paint. Like, that's
Yep.
what kind of paint I use. Like, small little things. But I had like fun little quotes and other artists that inspire me. And also, I had a piece in Artie Pants magazine for issue 2,
Yep.
so I had that out there. And then Bridget and Marcy at Storytellers magazine were very kind and put some of my artwork
Yep.
in 2 of their magazines. So I had those out there too for people to view, which was awesome.
Yeah. No, and is it a lot of the landscape inspiration from just Brewster, or is there other stuff? Because I know you're posting on Instagram all the time of some landscape shots.
Yeah, just being outside in general. I try to walk every morning, and I live in Quincy, so Quincy Shore Drive. You've got the marsh, you've got the ocean,
Yep.
and I love how every day is different because the light, the weather. I mean, I love a foggy day where the greens really pop just as much as I love
Yep.
a blue sky with fluffy white clouds, and where other colors kind of seem blown out. But
I've
I think
seen those colors in the landscapes. Is that inspiring to like bring? I want to
Yeah.
put it into a
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll go for walks and then I come home and I instantly just start putting paint to paper, or just like collecting tubes to create the next story, being like, all right, I saw this today. Even weird things like television, like I'll be like, oh, that shirt is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I love those three colors together. So I pull those three colors and I'm like, all right, that's what I'm going to work on next. But as far as landscape is concerned, East Coast, West Coast, like if it's near the ocean, that's my favorite. But West Coast, when I was in California with my friend Jess, we went to Point Lobos, which is Carmel by the Sea. And California, Northern California, had just had the like craziest winter snow records, rain records. And we went to this hiking. It's like on the cliff, you're on the ocean. It was a foggy morning, and every plant was in full bloom green vegetation. And usually it's completely burnt to a crisp with the weather out there. So it was so amazing. That place lives rent free in my mind. So those four large, they're abstract landscapes, but a little bit more literal, were based on that memory from that day hike of being there. And I can't wait to go back. I'm like so excited to go back.
Nice. I'm looking for more inspiration.
Yeah, always.
So the next 2 Fridays you'll be there, talking process or whatever.
Yep, and I'll have all my photos. I created a couple of photo books from, any pictures that I take on my walks or when I'm out and about, color combinations. So for people to look through that stuff and, kind of see where that comes from, I think is really cool.
I'm sure that a lot of people will be interested to see the stuff and talk to you about it, and just get like a better understanding of what you're doing, and they're probably looking for ideas themselves.
I hope so. I mean, two women were so kind. They came in last week and they're like, what kind of paper do you use? What paints do you use? What tools do you use? I was like, I'm at work, but come back, see me. We'll talk later.
Yeah. I mean, is there like the tools ever evolving, or you just...
Yeah, I mean, from your average like catalyst scraping tools to regular putty knives, whether they're metal or plastic, anything. Pellet knives I love, but I got some like big squeegees, and then I started, as I was working bigger, I started looking for larger scrapers too. And in some of the landscapes, just using parchment paper or a foam roller or bubble wrap to get cool texture. And
I've seen people like hitting things with like branches. All sorts of like just random.
I would love to experiment more with stuff, but I'm going to have to get a studio space at some point if I want to do that. Otherwise, my apartment will be a mess.
Yeah. Well, studio space might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, one day in the future.
A lot of room to
be more experimental.
Yeah.
And work and keep going bigger. Yeah. I mean, I love the small, but I think it is really great using the small ones that I love as inspiration to go bigger and bigger. And just, you're never going to create the same thing twice.
Yep.
But if you love the colors and you want to see where it goes next, just keep going bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I mean, even the same colors in a small format, as it gets bigger, it's it does feel different too.
It does.
So. Yeah, I think it's exciting. Are you so a lot of them as well? Are you trying to drop lines in certain places to give it like a landscape, or this one's obviously the lines
sometimes
are vertical.
I turn them
so it's not as much about like a horizontal landscape.
It doesn't have to be horizontal. I think the line work is just energy. It's movement. It's and that horizon. It's like your eye could stop, so it could be a boundary, or a horizon could be that space that you go beyond and you see what you want to see. So I think for me, the lines help people's eyes move and not just get stuck in one spot in the painting.
Yep.
At least that's what I'm going with.
Makes sense. And so far, how many pieces were there in the show?
About 70.
70. And what do you figure you sold about half of them so far?
25 so far.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is pretty awesome.
No,
in my mind, I was like, I'd be happy if I sold 10. But for me, I was like, well, I can take the artwork out and reuse the frames and redo, I have the capability of the skill of doing all the framing myself, obviously. And just if it doesn't sell, okay, great, I did it. It was an accomplishment, and move on to the next thing. But I'm, again, overwhelmed, and it's crazy how many people liked everything.
Yeah, no, I think I wouldn't say it's crazy. I mean, I think the stuff is great.
Thank you.
I was excited to see it all together. Like I said, I was excited to see people there. And I'm searching for the word. I'm not that you need people to purchase stuff to make you happy about your work, but I think there is a level of
validation, almost.
Validation is the word I was searching for.
I mean, I worked so hard at it, so I do feel proud of myself.
Yeah,
I mean, for here, too, helping so many clients and new artists and encouraging them to show here or enter shows. I've been doing it for other people, being their cheerleader for the last few years, that taking the chance on myself, like, it was scary at first, but I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, I feel like you have to walk the walk if you want to talk the talk, right? Like, I mean, I think that's why I find myself always like having to search out more paintings, buy more paintings. You can't tell people to hey, if you go for it, enter that show, and then do it yourself. You gotta put yourself at risk as well. Mm-hmm. Telling people to buy artwork and surround yourself with stuff that it gives you a certain feeling. You got to do the same.
Yeah, and supporting local artists in your community in general. But I think you and I especially, we try to go to as many other art openings and support all the local art societies and all of our clients. And I think when you show up for other people, I mean, for me, the amount of people that showed up for my opening was, it made me feel really good. Yeah. Because, you put so much of your time into supporting other people. So to see it back done to you was really, really lovely.
Yeah, and I think that it's important that people understand also, too. I mean, supporting people doesn't always mean, making a purchase, right?
Yeah.
Like showing up at the event.
Yep. Or encouraging other people to go with you.
Yeah, exactly. And, giving people feedback. I mean, that's all support too. And it doesn't always have to have a monetary, part of it. I mean, the monetary part's nice. Yeah. And it's, putting your money where your mouth is. But, sometimes it's, even if the work's not for someone, it's like, it's still nice to be there and to bring other people in and
exactly
broaden the audience. Tell people about it, share posts. I mean, all that stuff helps. And there's so many talented people around here. And so many like great places to see art, and I think it's. Part of that's because we have a beautiful landscape and scenery around us with the water. So it's important that people just like see the art and
Yeah. And the other thing too, like all the work that we've done on the website for the community page too, like helping share and let everyone know that, like, hey, you don't know what's going on this weekend.
Yep.
Look on our calendar page.
Yeah.
Go to the website. Go to framecenter.com. Look at the community page.
Yeah.
Oh, North River Festival's coming up, and then it's going to be so short. You have all these shows right in one space, so you're not like looking at every single website being like, what do I want to do this weekend, or who's having a show. So I think for us to have that as one place for all the local art people to look at is super helpful and important too.
Yeah, no, I tell people that these two festivals coming up are a great way to, like, one, like, you're not financially obligated to buy anything, but you can see a bunch of stuff and start to determine what it is that you like, or understand. Like, you can look at those price tags and be like, well, I want to start getting into original art. Like, have an understanding of what the commitment is and what styles you like, and
putting a face to a name too.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like that's so important, right? People knowing who the artist is.
Yeah. Or you see a name or you hear a name over and over and you're like, I don't know who that person is. And then you're like, oh, now we met.
Yeah.
Because you went to the opening, you know?
Or seeing what, if they fit what you envisioned. But yeah, you because of the show, did you have a piece in South Shore? You didn't enter?
I wanted to enter everything. And then I started panicking, being like, which one do I pull from my show?
Yeah.
So once I had that figured out, I missed North River and I missed Hull, but last minute I had like one frame hanging around, so I dropped off at South Shore, and I dropped off 2, and I got 1 in. Yeah. So that's awesome too. I love that show. I'm not going to be in town for it, but I'm excited that I got something in there.
Yeah, it's nice to be represented.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it'll, again, a lot of people get through there, and hopefully, people spend time looking at the art and get an understanding for who the artists are,
and just more exposure. I mean, the entering part can be tough just because you don't always get in. You don't know what the judges are looking for, but I just look at it as giving back to the art community and putting myself out there. So
yeah, I mean, even if you get rejected, I mean the fees do
it helps. It supports the organizations.
If you think
100%.
of it as a donation, then you don't have to. It softens the rejection.
Yeah, and then like you said too, like the rejections keep us humble, right? You're like, oh, all right. I don't let it bother me. I'm just like, whatever, next time. It's just the picking up and dropping off and coordinating all of that stuff with work. It can be its own full-time job.
Yeah, well, it certainly can. Do you, obviously you've been here about 26 years?
Yeah, 1999.
Do you feel like that has helped your journey as an artist, like seeing other
Absolutely.
people? Yeah.
And just helping other artists and getting to talk to other artists every day.
Yeah.
And be inspired by them and help them come up with their framing style and know what really works and what maybe could be done better. So with all that years experience of framing and looking at art and being around art and having those creative conversations with people is super helpful.
Yeah. And before you started here, you were at University of Hartford.
Yep, the Hartford Art School.
And was there some fashion?
So I went to school for illustration.
Yep.
And then I
did all the fashion drawings.
Yeah. So my senior project was doing drawings instead of photography for magazines. So I love clothes and shoes and bags and sunglasses, all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So I did a bunch of my senior show was based on that, but also I studied abroad in London for 6 months. So in that time, I took a figure drawing class from this woman, Diana Hughes, who is a fashion illustrator. Yeah. So getting to learn something from her with like more of those elongated fashion figure line drawings was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's been,
lots of different journeys.
A lot of different, yeah. Do you still do anything with photography or?
I mean, I love taking pictures, but I just do it from my phone right now. It's so quick and easy. I feel like I'd love to invest in a camera again. I used to have one. I haven't had one in like 5 or 6 years. So I could see getting a new camera would be nice, but the drawing and the painting and trying to do something every day that's creative is important to me. So,
well, I mean, I think it's nice when you're working in a creative industry, like you have some creativity, but then you're doing that for other people, so you need to,
certain days I just want to go home and do nothing, and then other days I go home and I'm like, inspired. I want to do this, I want to do that.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough, right? So it's a blessing because you get to be creative on a daily basis, but I guess it can be, you can burn yourself out.
Well, it's still work, so you want to go home and you want to have your personal time, and sometimes you want to do nothing, and sometimes you have life things that get in the way that you have to do, and then there's family and there's friends and all of the stuff in between.
Nice. Well, anything exciting coming up in the gallery space that you're also,
Yeah, I
tasked
mean,
with it?
Hanover Days is coming up, so working with Karen Cass for that is awesome. I get along with her really well, and we, organize and hang together, which is fun instead of just doing it by myself. And during Hanover Days, downstairs we'll have new fish prints from Jenna Reedy and acrylic washes from Sally Dean, and then Christina Godfrey from the Savage Godfrey Gallery is going to incorporate a few things from her space, her next show that's coming up, because she's going to be the judge.
Nice. Yeah.
So lots of things.
Yep, that'll be fun. And I'm sure that getting to talk to artists and setting up shows, I know that's a passion of yours.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. That's my favorite. I mean, we have wonderful clients, and I love customer service, but taking the time to arrange the art and hang the art and help people, decide what goes best and what tells a story or a collection is really fun.
Nice. Yeah. Well, the feedback's always been great. So, and I think people are excited to come in and see art, even if it's not their the reason why they walked in the door. But
the hope is that we make this place be a destination to come and buy art too, not just frame what you have. I mean, that's the main reason people are coming in. But if people are just stopping by just to see art or see what's going on and what's coming up, I think that's equally as important and great.
Yep.
You need to get a gallery sign outside.
Yeah. Oh, we'll figure that out. Yeah, I'm sure we can. We'll have to get Lorge on the case.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of the day and broke the ice.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thanks for having me.
A holiday show comes up or some gallery promotions. We can
we'll see.
Talk more about those.
Unless nobody watches this.
Yeah, we'll see. Is there a website yet, or is just the Instagram where people can see?
For me, no website yet. I mean,
I think artist page.
yeah. On our website, and my Instagram is Dina Brennan, and I try to be good about putting stuff up on there. But again, it's not my forte. But I do put myself out there a little bit on there with the art, especially with the artwork.
Well, they can see the show at the James
until June 14th,
and some of the local art shows, and you can stop by the frame.
Yeah, you can always find me here Monday through Thursday.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, till the next one.
Till the next one.
Thanks for sitting down, Dina.
Thanks for having me.